What's up guys, Jeremy with Live Adventures. How are you all doing today? So, some of y'all might know, most of y'all don't, but I competed in my first XC race. I did this a couple weeks ago and learned a lot of things from it. Now, a lot of you would probably think, Jeremy, this is your first XC race. You're not even gonna finish this race. Well, those of you that actually think that would actually be correct. So I did my first XC race 2 Sundays ago, and I am humbled to say I didn't even complete the race. So instead of me boring you with all that video of me not even completing the race,
I was not ready for this.
Today I'm gonna give you 8 tips on what not to do on your first XC race. All right, tip number 1. Don't get a cold before your first race. You know, this should be an obvious thing. I got a cold not 4 days before this race happened. Fever, hacking, gross stuff, and it basically destroyed me during the race. That's disgusting. Now with all that, make sure you're staying healthy, take vitamin C. Of course, you know, things happen and you might come down with something, but stay hydrated during that cold and get yourself ready for the race. Now tip number 2. Make sure before the race that day, you're not standing in the hot sun for 3 hours prior to starting. Now I stood in the sun before the race about 3 hours prior because I was competing in the novice section and I was doing the last race. I'd be competing in the last race of the day. And so I watched everybody else compete and start their races and everything, and I stood out there in the hot scorching sun and probably dehydrated myself pretty good before I started my race. So make sure you're in the shade and keeping yourself cool before the race even starts. Now tip number 3. You want to make sure you don't go too hard at the start. I went way too hard. You're in a competition. I had that competition blood pumping through me. My adrenaline was pumping and I wanted to go as fast as I could and beat everybody off the start. You don't want to do that. You're gonna burn yourself too fast. I learned that the hard way and it beat me for the rest of the race.
I went too hard.
Now tip number 4. You want to make sure at least a day prior to the race that you do the whole race course. You want to make sure you can complete the whole race in a matter of one setting. I had ridden the trails prior to the race days before and, you know, didn't ride it real hard and took breaks and everything. But I didn't the day before actually race the actual course prior to racing on Sunday. Riding the course before you actually race it will show you what's actually there so you can kind of memorize the routes and the turns and everything. I hadn't done that, so that was another thing that destroyed me from completing the race. Now I had thought I could complete the race, but I actually had never even ridden the actual course, so I couldn't. Now tip number 5. You want to make sure you warm up prior to the race, but you don't want to warm up too much. Like I had said before, it was really hot. I was sitting out there for a while and gotten really hot, but I still thought I needed to go and ride and warm up. Now I did need to warm my legs up and do a little bit of riding just to get myself conditioned and ready for the start, but I rode and warmed up too hard and got myself too exhausted before the race even started. Now, tip number 6. This is an obvious one. You want to make sure you are very well hydrated several days before the race even happens. The day of the race, the day before, and the day before that. This will keep your body hydrated through the whole race so you can complete it. I drank water pretty good amount the prior day and the day of, but it wasn't enough for me. I was sweating, it was hot like I said, and it just destroyed me. You gotta make sure you're very well hydrated and taking the precautions and hydration products that you think you might need before the race even starts to make sure you are hydrated. All right, for tip number 7, you wanna make sure you keep going even if you think you're the last person in the race.
I think I'm last.
Now, what I had done, I was being passed left and right by people, and even the women who had started behind me. I was being lapped, I was being passed, so I thought I was the last person in the race. So that kind of pushed me to be like, okay, cool, I'm the last person, there's no point in me even completing the race. Now, there was actually several people behind me, and one person who even completed the 7.5 miles of the race in an hour and 41 minutes. So I could have finished the race and actually gotten several places in front of the last place. Now, there were also several people behind me who didn't complete the race either, so don't feel too bad that you are the last person, even if you are, because a lot of times people do what I just did and don't even complete the race. So you want to make sure you just keep going, do it at the pace that you can, go back to tips, don't start too hard, and just have fun with it. And that brings me to tip number 8. Have fun no matter what. Enjoy that you're mountain biking. You did this for a certain reason. You didn't do it just to compete. You enjoy mountain biking and you want to experience the racing, the competition of this. So have fun with it. If you're not having fun, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Having fun is what's most important about competing in this race and mountain biking. Again, you're mountain biking, have fun with it. So there you guys go, 8 things on what not to do for your first time at an XC race. You know I say every single time, guys, make sure you lift up God, lift up life, and lift up the adventure. Get out there and make your own adventures. Go and compete in an XC race or an enduro race or a downhill race, whatever's around you. Have fun doing it. Take these 8 tips and learn from it. Try to better yourself, and again, just have fun doing it. Guys, I learned so much from it. Obviously, I didn't have fun from it because I wasn't making myself have fun. I wasn't looking at the right thing. But you guys have fun, compete in a race or don't. Go mountain biking and enjoy the outside and out in God's country. Enjoy it. I'll talk to you guys later. God bless. To be an obvious thing, I got a cold